Oops. It takes you across a few different cities. Like, oh my God, this book is so well written. It's so good. You're picturing everything. You're really along for the story. And you close the book like, I'm glad I read that. Oh, it's just amazing. You need to read this book. Like, you need to read this book. And welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are going to be talking about books, about the books that got me through a whole freaking year of COVID. So this is something that's a bit new to my channel. I hope you guys enjoy. Give it a thumbs up if you like this type of content, and let me know in the comments what your favorite book is, either of all time or something that you read during the past year. If you are new to my channel, make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss another video from me. And you might see some movement down here. That is Magnolia, my dog. She is tired. She's in the weirdest position right now. I need to take a picture of this. Oh, she just moved. So it is cozy vibes. We've got a glass of tea. We've got a dog. The sun is shining. It's Sunday afternoon. Life is so good, and I am so happy to be talking about books with you guys. Big shout out to my friend Michaela. So it was my friend Michaela who gave me this video idea. She suggested I make, a video about the books that I've read throughout quarantine, and I was like, that is such a good idea because I feel like I read a lot of books, at least for my standard. So I have here 7 books that I read throughout the last year, except for one. I threw in one that is my favorite book of all time, and then one that's missing. So imagine there's an extra stack here. We're just gonna chat briefly about each of these books, what they are about, why I recommend them, and I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so these are gonna be in order, starting with my very first favorite, which unfortunately I don't have. How is it that it's my favorite book yet I don't own it? This book is Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. Oh my God, what an incredible book. It is, what is it about? You guys may have heard of the TV show. The TV show is great, but if you haven't seen the TV show, read the book first. And if you have seen the TV show, read the book. And if you haven't seen the TV show, and you don't care about watching it, read this book. Oh my God, it is so gripping. It is so good. It is the story of 3 different women and how their lives are intertwined in this small coastal town in Australia. First of all, I love the fact that it was set in Australia because some of you guys probably know I studied abroad in Australia. So just reading about a place that I was familiar with was so amazing. If you're not from Australia, you are transported to this little town, which is fantastic. I love books that take us somewhere else and really take us to a new location. And the story is so suspenseful and gripping. Like it's like kind of like a whodunit type of book. And the whole time you know what the crime is from the very beginning, and you are dying to know who did it. And when you find out all of the twists and turns, and you find out who did it, and you find out this other, like, there's so many surprises, and each one that you figure out, I was literally like, I was gasping out loud. I remember at one point, I called my mom because she had seen the show, and I was like, oh my God, this person, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, uh-huh. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was racing to bed to read. I wanted to read, like, I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to read this book. It was so freaking good. So you guys need to read Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. That is my #1 pick, the best book that I read in all of last year and almost in all time. Like, never since I was a kid have I been gripped into a story the way that this book gripped me. And I am now reading another book of hers. It's behind me over there, and I have another book on the back burner. So love that author, love that book. The next favorite book that I read last year is called The Vanishing Half by Bennett. This book is amazing, and it was actually my friend Eve who chose this for our book club. I was a part of a book club this summer. This book is so good. It is the story of 2 twins who were born and raised in the south of the United States in a town that really coveted light skin. So they were black and they had very fair skin, and everyone in this town really coveted fair skin. Like, the whiter the better. That was, their attitude. So these twins end up escaping the small town and then get separated. And one lives her life as a black woman, and one takes on a new identity and lives her life as a white woman. And then it is the story of those women and their children and how they are intertwined. It is so good. I learned a lot from this book about like white supremacy. I learned a lot about colorism, but then it's also just an amazing story about family, and it's suspenseful, and it's just like the story of basically 4 different women. You hear like all the different perspectives, and it takes you forwards and backwards in time, which I think is amazing. It takes you across a few different cities. Like, oh my God, this book is so well written. It's so good. It's, you know, not too thick of a read, but you finish it so fast because you're just like, you just want to keep reading and reading and reading. It really sucks you in. It paints amazing visuals. Like, you feel like you're there in this little town. You feel like you're there in LA. It's just so good. I had to move because the sun is being crazy. Maggie's being so cute. Look at her next to the books. Oh my God, life is a dream right now, honestly. Okay, I am going to squeeze in here. This is my favorite book of all time. I did not read this during the lockdown, but I wanted to throw it in here because this is my favorite book of all time. I've read this book, I think, 4 times. It is called She's Come Undone by Wally. It is the life story of a girl named Dolores. It literally takes you from her as a very young child to her as a fully grown woman. Oh my God. I'm gonna read you the back because I don't even know how to summarize this book. So it says, meet Dolores Price. She's 13, wise mouth but wounded, having bid her childhood goodbye. Beached like a whale in front of her bedroom TV, she spends the next few years nourishing herself with Malamars, potato chips, and Pepsi, her anxious mother supplies. When she finally rolls into young womanhood at 257 pounds, Dolores is no stronger and life is no kinder. But this time she's determined to rise to the occasion and give herself one more chance before really going belly up. This book is sad, it's heartbreaking, it's fucking hilarious at the same time. This man, I don't know how he wrote about a woman to such exactitude. You know, this book literally talks about everything from like weight, body image, sex, love, family, mother-daughter relationships. Like, how this man knew about all of that, I don't know. But I think this is a book that everyone should read. It literally covers so many things that can happen to us in our life. Anything bad that you can imagine happens to this girl, and it's just so amazing to watch her come out on top, read about the struggles, and it's another book that you just feel like you're there and you fall in love with the character, and you really are just brought along through her journey in such a picturesque way. Like, I can replay this book in my head like a movie. That's how well written it is. You guys can see it is very well loved. I plan to keep this book forever and just keep reading it over and over again. Another reason this book is so special to me is because it's my mom who suggested it to me. And I remember she was like, Zoe, we saw it in a bookstore, and she was like, Zoe, I read this book, it's amazing. And I looked at the cover and I was like, the heck, I don't want to read that. But my mom was right. And you know, one day I hope that my daughter can read this book, and I would love for all of you guys to read this book as well. Men or women, I think, no matter your gender, I think this is such an important book to read. I'm sounding so serious right now, but like, it's not boring. It's a story, okay? It's a novel, but I think it just teaches so much about life and about judging others and about, oh, it's just amazing. You need to read this book. Like, you need to read this book. Even the way it's written, it's like so old. But it's so accurate to today. Anyway, I could go on and on. This book is freaking amazing. Okay, one of the first books I read during the lockdown, this is called The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. Michaela gave me this book. It is so good. It's like a bit of a mystery. I want to say a little bit sci-fi, but it's so good. I'm gonna read you the back. Imagine that your husband has 2 other wives. You've never met the other wives. None of you know each other, and because of this unconventional arrangement, you can see your husband only 1 day a week. But you love him so much you don't care, or at least that's what you've told yourself. But one day, when you're doing laundry, you find a scrap of paper in his pocket, an appointment reminder for a woman named Hannah, and you just know it's another of the wives. You thought you were fine with your arrangement, but you can't help yourself. You track her down, and under false pretenses, you strike up a friendship. Hannah has no idea who you really are. Then Hannah starts showing up to your coffee dates with telltale bruises, and you realize she's being abused by her husband, who of course is also your husband, but you've never known him to be violent ever. Who exactly is your husband, and how far would you be willing to go to find out? And who is his mysterious third wife? This book is another one that I raced to finish because I needed to know what happened. I think it took me no more than a week to read this book. It is so amazing. You are just dying to know what happens, and it is one of those things. Usually I'm pretty good at like guessing what happens in books. This one, I never would have seen the twist coming. Never, 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 never. Like, I was like, is it a science thing? Is it like a religious thing? I can't even say. You will never guess what happens. Okay, this is a more recent book that I read, but it is so good. My dad gave me this book. It is called The Last Painting of Sarah DeVos by Dominic Smith. This is a bit of like a historic fiction book, and I love it because it is told from the point of view of 3 different people, and it spans across so many years. So you have the main character, Ellie, as a young woman, and then as an old woman. You have the painter, Sarah DeVos, back in the 1800s, and then you have the secondary character, a man in mostly just present day. So it alternates between these 3 points of views and these 3 time zones, and there's like a big mystery. Basically, a painting is forged. A painting by Sarah DeVos is forged, and then there's all these things that unravel around it. There's also a love story in this book, which I thought was awesome. I do like reading romantic books, but this is by no means like cheesy. It's not like suspenseful in the way that the other, like in the way that The Wives or Big Little Lies is, but it's definitely curious. And I just think it's one of those like beautifully written books where you're picturing everything, you're really along for the story, and you close the book like, I'm glad I read that. You know, it's kind of like a peaceful book. You're not rushing to finish it, but it's really, really well written, and I very much recommend it. Okay, so you guys may have noticed all of those books were more stories, they were novels. I wanted to give you guys one kind of self-help book. Here's the thing, I used to love reading self-help books, and then I kind of realized that a lot of them were like quackery. Like, so many self-help books are such BS, and it's crazy. Like, there's so many that so many YouTubers like rave about, so I rush out to buy it. The best example I can give is You Are a Badass. Freaking hated that book. It was so bad. Like, literally I was like, I can't believe I spent all this time and I spent money to buy this book for you to tell me shit that I already know. Like, it was so bad. But this book, Ask and It Is Given, is really, really good. This is not the kind of book that I could sit down and read it cover to cover. It literally took me a year to read this book, and it wasn't until COVID that I really started to get into it. Half of the book is manifestation processes, and that's what I really, really like. The first part, I think, is something nice to read slowly. It talks about, you know, yourself and your mood and manifesting and the universe and just asking and receiving. I think it's well written, but it's not the kind of thing, like I said, that I can sit down and that like really hooks me in. But this is the kind of book that I like to have just next to me all the time. You guys may have seen it all the time in the backgrounds of my videos. It is always within arm's reach, because I don't want to say it, I'm gonna say it like this, and I hope no one takes this the wrong way, but like, I kind of, to me, it's kind of like a Bible. Like, I'm not saying that this is my Bible and I'm gonna live my life by this, but it's just like, I think how a lot of Christians want to have the Bible close by for like comfort. This is the kind of book for me that is like that, because it's very spiritual, it's very uplifting, and I just like having it nearby. It's not boring to read like the Bible, oops. But I've tried reading the Bible. It was so boring, I couldn't do it. But I'm not a very religious person. I hope I didn't offend anyone when I say that. To each their own. Anyway, I just really like this book. If you want to get into spirituality, I think this is a great starting point. It is very to the point. It's not a story, but it's great. And like I said, the second half are these manifestation processes. I haven't even read them all, but what I like to do is when I'm having an off day or when I'm having a good day and I want to take advantage of that good day, I'll flip to a process and I'll read about manifesting, and then I'll try out the process. So it's really nice. I really believe in manifestation, and things about improving your mood, of gratitude, all of that. And so I really like having this book close by. There are other books by this author that I definitely want to grow my collection about. They have a book about money, and I really like it. I think this is a very great approach to spirituality that's not floofy like The Way You Are a Badass is. Honestly, sorry for that book. But anyway, I thought I would include that too. If you guys want to get into spirituality, if you are a spiritual person, this is an awesome book to just have close by, to always remind yourself that anything in the world is possible. So I thought that was a good note to end off this video on. As a quick, side note, I know COVID has been a hard year for all of us, and I think books are an amazing way to escape our current reality, dive into another person's problem for a little while. And I think reading is so good for the mind. I love reading. I love I love watching TV, don't get me wrong, but I really do love reading because I feel like I'm bettering myself while reading. It helps your vocabulary, it helps, your spelling. I think reading makes you smarter. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying. I think reading helps you. I think reading makes you smarter. I think reading is a wonderful thing. So I'm excited to read all of your favorite books in the comments so I can add to my collection. Let me know, like I said, let me know if you liked this video. I hope you read some of these books, if not all of them. And I just woke up my dog. I'm sorry. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. I will talk to you in my next one. Bye.